Hello and welcome to Kentfield, California for a baseball game between the Mariners and the Diablo Valley College Vikings. I'm Nick Winstead. This broadcast brought to you by College of Marin Athletics. The Diablo Valley College Vikings coming into Kentfield with a 5-0 record. Marin just their second home game of the year with a 3-4 record on the year and 0-1 at home, looking for that first home win of the year. Their last game, a 6-2 loss against Cabrillo in their second game of the season. On the mound today for the Mariners, it'll be number 18, Cooper Casati. Comes with an 0-2 record. This will be his third game started. He's pitched 12 innings in those two games with a 4.50 ERA and 5 strikeouts on the year for the righty. Doing the catching today for Marin will be Jacob Davidson. Jacob Davidson doing the catching today. At first base is Ryan Schultz. At second base, Sam Schmidt. Matt Tarantino at shortstop. Marcus Chu, at shortstop. Paul Kennedy in left field. Chris Heyman in center field, and James Potts in right to round out the defense for Marin. Marin getting ready to start off this game with the first pitch as number 5, Ryan Tom, the center fielder, steps into the right-handed batter's box for the Vikings. Marin in their gold jerseys, white pants, black numbers and lettering, and for the visiting DVC Vikings, gray pants, black tops, and a deep green lettering with white trim. And Davidson taking a moment to get his equipment on. Now he'll get down in the squat as Tom digs in. Kasad getting the sign from Davidson. Bring it down to his belt. Will kick and fire. First pitch. That will be ball at 12:01 here in Kentfield. 1-0. Here comes the pitch, and that will be a fastball, a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes, nobody out here in the top of the first. Kasad working and firing, and this time he'll catch the strike zone. Strike 1, 2-1 the count against Tom. The center fielder comes into this one batting .231 on the year. And back-to-back strikes evens the count at 2-2 for Kasad against Tom. Getting the sign and beginning his motion and firing. Big chopper up the middle. Streaking in is Tarantino. He'll try and play the short hop and not be able to get it over in time. A leadoff infield single for Ryan Tom. Anthony Talaferio hitting in the 2. Number 6 steps into the right-handed batter's box, right-footed, right against that end chalk. Kasad peeks over at first base and will throw over to first base. Throw not time. Schultz putting the tag on, but diving in. Talaferio and stirrups today. Kasad peeks over first, now fires the pitch, and that will be low on the fastball. Count, nobody out, and Tom at first. 0-0 here in the top of the first here in Kentfield. The second matchup between these two squads. And a fastball tag the bottom part of the zone. Strike two. 1-2 at first base now, beginning number 2 first base, another digging back in. Green sleeve on his left arm. Casad, deep breath, now will fire. Tom's on the move, hit and over to the third base side and throwing on the run and getting the out is Chu, but advancing the runner is Talaferio after that 5-3 put out. Chu starts with a 4.32 ERA, and first pitch from Kennedy will be a ball low, squibs away from, and be Drew Downing doing the catching today at first base. Atticus Sohn at second base. Cody Hazel at shortstop. Anthony Talaferio, and at third base, Gasafiao, as pitch number 2 will be a fastball away. 2-0 start out the at-bat for Chris Heyman. No batting gloves for Heyman as his right foot on the edge of the chalk. And he sees fastball just barely tag the outside edge of the plate. 2-1 the count. Heyman hitting .400 on the year. This will be his 26th at-bat. And fastball comes inside. 3-1 the count now. Just getting out of the way is Heyman. And rounding out the defense, DeFazio in left, Tom in center field, and Messenheimer in right for DVC. And the 3-1 pitch on the way. And that will miss. A leadoff walk issued to Chris Heyman. And that brings up Marcus Chu, number 9, the third baseman. Chu digs into the right-handed batter's box. Another righty-righty matchup in this game. Now, Kennedy dangling his arm. Now will bring it up and will fire the first pitch to Chu. A big swing and a miss for Chu, trying to tie up the game perhaps on one swing of the bat, but it is just strike one for Marcus. Heyman takes his lead at first base, and just missing on second pitch is Kennedy. 1-1 the count. Another fastball thrown in by Kennedy. And a throw over to first base and sliding in easily is Heyman. No tag applied by Sohn. Playing the arm now, will bring it up to his chest is Kennedy. Kennedy begins his motion, fires, and that will hit Chu in the head inadvertently, but that one got away, and that's back-to-back free passes issued up by Kennedy. Now batting with 2 men on and nobody out for the Mariners. Number 2, Matt Tarantino, the shortstop. Tarantino in his 29th at-bat of the year with 2 men on and a chance to set the table for Ryan Schultz. Look over at second base from Kennedy. Now will fire the pitch and a drive into right center field. Working underneath it is Messenheimer, and he will collect it. Tagging up is Heyman. He will go over to third base. No throw to third, cut off by Talaferio, and getting Chu back to first base. A productive out for Tarantino. Puts runners on the corners. 1 out. Number 12, Ryan Schultz, coming to the plate. He's the NorCal Player of the Week. Last week he went 10 for 15, scoring 6 runs, driving in 8, 2 intentional walks, 3 doubles, and 2 home runs. He is the first Mariner to receive NorCal Player of the Week honors. He's got 2 men on and 1 out in a 1-0 lead for Diablo Valley College. And first pitch up high from Kennedy. 1-0 the count for Schultz, playing first base today for Marin. Taps the plate and waiting for the pitch now from Kennedy. Arm dangling, waiting for the sign from Downing. Now he comes upright. Runners on the corners for Marin, checking over at third base. And Heyman will throw over to first, and the tag is applied. Not in time. Chu diving back in safely. And missing again is Kennedy. Power hit over Schultz, 2-0 the count. Kennedy will fire the pitch, and good contact put on that one by Schultz. Driving in is Messenheimer into foul territory, but it will a little pitch, putting it high into the air. Messenheimer playing more towards right center field, unable to get there in time. 2-1 the count, 1 out. Runners on the corners for Marin, down 1-0 here at home. Their second home game of the year. A beautiful day in Kentfield, a sunny 70 degrees with Mount Tam. Driven over to shortstop. Gloving it is Talaferio, throwing over to first, and that will end the inning. Mariners cannot take advantage of 2 free passes, and that will be first. Diablo Valley coming up next. It'll be Downing, Remoto, and Hay here in Kentfield. Facade fires and drives it over to Tarantino at shortstop. Tarantino easily fires over first base, and it's a wide. Marin coming back up, still down 1-0. It'll be Schmidt, Potts, and Dieters coming up for Marin when we return. You're watching College of Marin Baseball. The Vikings 1-0 as we move to the bottom of the second. Sam Schmidt will lead off the bottom of the second for Marin. The second baseman digs in, sees first pitch strike issued by Austin Kennedy. Able to runners in the pit. 1-1 the count. He didn't. So he's hoping to keep that streak going here. Another lefty and another first pitch strike issued by Austin Kennedy. And fastball down low. Good glove work by Downing. But it evens the count at 1-1 for Dieters. Staring down at Downing now is Kennedy. Brings the ball up in front of his face. Deep breath in. Will fire the 1-1. And that will squib away from Downing. Ball 2. Fastball down low, and that'll be tossed back over by a member of the coaching staff from Diablo Valley. Head coach Steve Ward, assisted by Steve Hammond, Paul Weavers, and Larry Corico. And here comes the 2-1. And driven foul along the first base line and played off the hop by the first base coach for Marin. Strike 2 for Dieters. It's a 2-2 count, 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. It's a 1-0 lead for Diablo Valley. They scored that run in the top of the first and then were shut out in the top of the second. A 1-2-3 inning issued by Cassad. Kennedy brings the glove up in front of his face and will fire the 2-2. And caught looking is Dieters. It's a 3-strikeout inning for Austin Kennedy. 4 strikeouts on the game as we will head to the top of the third. It'll be Gosfiao, DeFazio, and Tom for the Vikings when we return here at College of Marin Athletics. Bradley Gossing Xiao at the plate, and he sees first pitch ball from Cooper Cassad. Gossing Xiao at third base today for the against the Mariners, and he gets it past a diving Sam Schmidt into center field, a leadoff single for the 8-hole hitter. Gossing Xiao, the third hit of the game for the Vikings. Right back up the middle past Schmidt, just couldn't quite get there in time. And that will bring up Daniel DeFazio, playing in left field for the Vikings this afternoon. A sunny day in Kentfield. The Vikings up 1-0. Man on first, nobody out for DeFazio, and he sees first pitch strike fired in by Cassad. He's done a great job of getting out early on these Vikings, but the Vikings able to get out on top early, 1-0. And now Gossing Xiao at first base, throw over, not in time. Schultz applies the tag, but diving in safely head first is Gossing Xiao. Cassad looking over at first base, down at his belt now. Peeks over, fires the pitch, and pitch out over to first base, not in time. In back easily. And it is Gossing Xiao. Ball 2 for DeFazio. Wind blowing from right to left here in Kentfield. Cassad. Fire over to first base again, and no hit off of Gossing Xiao, skirt into foul territory. Schultz running after it, but easily over to second base is Gossing Xiao on the throwing error. So now DeFazio with 2 balls, no strikes, and nobody out, with Gossing Xiao in scoring position with the top of the Vikings order coming up next. He can put the Mariners in a bad position here by getting on base. Schmidt keeping close to second base with Gossing-Fiao. Cassad will fire the pitch to DeFazio, and that'll be up high. Ball 3. Cassad eyeing in at Davidson. Gets the pitch he wants. DeFazio back behind his right shoulder. Long stare over at second base. Now fires the pitch as Cassad driven into left field, and that will be foul off the fence. Strike 1. He knew he was going to get a pitch to hit there, and he took advantage, but just a little bit early on that one. Cassad again eyeing in at Davidson. Peeks over at second base. Now will fire the 3-1, and that will be strike 3. Down goes DeFazio, swinging first strikeout of the game for the Mariners. Comes at a big time, needing an out before it gets back to the top of the order as Ryan Tom comes to the plate for the second time today. He had an infield single and turned it into a run for the Vikings after he was able to steal third base and come home on the Messenheimer infield hit. And he'll show bunt and get out of the way. Ball 1. Deep breath by Cassad as he peeks over at second base. Now will fire the pitch, and up high. Ball 2 on Ryan Tom, the center fielder for these Vikings. Deep breath. Gossing-Fiao over to shortstop on the chopper, and Tarantino fires over to first, but advancing is Gossing-Fiao. 2 outs with a man on third. A productive out for Tom as Talaferio will come to the plate with a chance to extend the Vikings lead. They're up 1-0 here in the top of the third over the Mariners in Kent Field. On the mound is Cooper Cassad. He got Talaferio to ground into a 5-3 putout last time up. And first pitch swinging into shallow left field, and Kamen running over and collecting the out. It will be the end of the top of the third. Coming up next for the Mariners, it'll be Paul Kennedy, and back to the top of the order with Heyman and Chu when we return here. You're watching College Marin Baseball. Paul Kennedy, first pitch swinging right into the glove of Gossing-Fiao at third base, and a long throw, and in time. over at the hot corner. Made a beautiful diving catch on that one off the hard hit grounder from Kennedy. And 1 pitch, 1 out for Austin Kennedy. Heyman back up for the Mariners. He had a leadoff walk. He able to get to third base, but was stuck there. One of 2 Mariner runners left on base. This pitch, breaking ball for a strike. With 1 out here in the bottom of the third. It's a 1-0 lead for Diablo Valley here in Kent Field. Marcus Chu in the on-deck circle for the Mariners. Matt Tarantino. And this one came in with 5 strikeouts and has been able to get 5 strikeouts against this Mariners squad thus far. Marcus Chu trying to get something going with 2 outs. Marin down 1-0. Watches that one drop in for a ball. Chu is hit by a pitch. He was hit in the head. His first Chu wearing the white batting gloves, watching the pitch come in, and fastball tags the outside edge. Kennedy. Back onto the rubber and watches Chu dig back in. It's a 1. Two outs here in the bottom of the third. Kennedy begins his motion. And out of play along the first base side. Strike 2. Mariners with a 3-4 record. The Vikings perfect on the year thus far, 5-0. 4 of those wins coming at home, and one of them came against the Mariners on the 9th. Chu, watch that one go into the dirt and bounce high off the backstop, so a lot of spin on that one. Ball 2. 2-2 the count, 2 outs. A 1-0 lead for the Vikings. The bottom of the third. Chu favoring the front half of that right-handed batter's box. Brings the bat behind his right shoulder now. Gently waving it, waits for the pitch, and watches it break in low. A full count for Chu. And the full count pitch driven to shortstop and gets by Talaferio on the short rope from Chu for a 2-out single. To the plate, he flew out to right field. Marcus Chu, a frozen rope over to Talaferio. He couldn't handle it, and Tarantino's going to try and make something out of it. Bat resting on his right shoulder. Now bring it up. Kennedy over at first base, and driven into right side. Back hits for Marin. Trying to get a little bit of it going. Some good contact by both Chu and Tarantino. Back-to-back pitches. That was Tarantino, and that'll be he's the He'd love nothing deficit for Marin. Foul is Schultz. Strike one. Kennedy leans in towards Downing. Glove resting against his chest, now brings the ball into his glove. One and one the count. 2 outs, 2 men on. In the bottom of the third, Schultz drives this one sky high into right center field. And able to, no, he drops it, and it will be an error for Messenheimer, having to come in all the way from right field. And Schmidt struck out to start off the bottom of the second. It was a 3-strikeout effort for Kennedy, and he had 2 quick outs here, and then has watched now 4 Mariners get on base in a row. And pitch up high. Easy take for Schmidt there in right field by Messenheimer. Should have been in the end, but Marin field line. Schmidt at the plate. And fastball it down and low. 2-1 the count now. Good take by Sam. Schmidt patiently waiting for Kennedy. Now Kennedy will begin his motion and fire the pitch. Schmidt drives that one into center field. Running in is Tom. Tom unable to get there. And flying in from second base. Schmidt trying to turn it into a double, and he will be thrown out. But the run counts. It will be a run inning for Marin to 1 on top, as is done by the Mariners. 4-1 as we go to the top of the 4th here in Kentfield. It'll be Messenheimer, Sohn, and Downing coming up. for strike number one into the back. Sohn takes his lead. Deep breath. Peeks over at first. Now we'll fire the pitch. And this one's popped into center field. Heyman works underneath it and catches it easily for out number 3. The walk doesn't come back to haunt Casad, and it will be the Marin back to the plate, trying to repeat their run-scoring ways of the bottom of the third. It'll be Potts, Dieters, and Kennedy when we return. Marin on top, 4-1 here in Kentfield. James Potts digs in for the Mariners. He struck out in his last at bat. It was a 3 strikeout. Bottom of the second for Kennedy. He'd like to in the bottom of the and a first pitch strike in for Potts. Fastball tags, excuse me, the outside edge. Glove up in front of his face now for Kennedy, and he'll kick and fire the 0-1. And this one shot foul down the baseline. Strike 2. Kennedy again. Glove in front of his face, fires the breaking ball. That'll be well outside, an easy take for Potts. 1-2 the count. Marin on top, 4-1 here in the bottom of the fourth. Looking for their first home win on the year. They can move to 500 with a victory here. A lot of baseball left to be played, however. The 3-run lead, they'd like to extend it over the perfect thus far Vikings. And it'll go off the glove of Gossingfield. He made a beautiful diving play over at third base in the first inning, and he can't repeat it here, and it's a leadoff single for Potts. Easton Dieters comes to the plate, hitting .500 on the year after he struck out swinging in his last plate appearance. Potts takes his lead at first base, Sohn on the bag. And first pitch strike in on Easton Dieters, the designated hitter today. On deck is Paul Kennedy. Runner goes. Pitch out and sliding in safely as the ball gets away from Talaferio is Potts. Second stolen base for Potts. Third stolen base on the game for Marin. Nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth. Potts in scoring position for Dieters. 1-1 count. Kennedy looks over at second base and driven in field, but is Potts. He will put for the second, the bottom of the third. All those came with 2 outs. Potts at second base. One bottom of the fourth. Kennedy leans and gets the sign. Now will go back upright. Check over at second base and will fire first pitch of the at bat. Way down low. Easy take for Kennedy. Ball 1. Electing not batting gloves as it right behind his ear on the right side. Showdown bunt and get it out, but it will be strike 1. Now Gosling-Fiau and Sohn will both have to be a little bit more alert still, as Gosling-Fiau is a little bit closer still to first base. Sohn pretty far back at first base. Kennedy leaning in. Now turn upright and will fire the 1-1 and check swing. Stays home though. Ball 2 for Paul Kennedy. Potts with his lead at second base. Kennedy, take a look over as Potts dances around, and fastball tags the outside half of the plate. 2-2 the count now against Kennedy with 1 out in the bottom of the fourth. It's a 4-1 lead for the Mariners. Kennedy gets the sign from Downing. Fires the pitch. And with Kennedy looking for the top half of the Mariners lineup coming up now. It'll be Heyman swinging for out number 2 in that 4-run bottom third. He led off the game for Marin with a walk, but he was stranded at third base. Still looking for his first hit of the day. First pitch swinging, fouled back. Strike 1. will dig in. Kennedy electing to lean over, getting his pitches with a runner on base, and will fire in a fastball low. Strike two. An 0-2 count for Heyman, the leadoff man for the Mariners. James Potts at second base after he had an infield single and a stolen base. Kennedy looks over at second base, will fire the 0-2. And strike three, swinging back-to-back at-bats. Heyman goes down swinging. Seventh strikeout of the game for Kennedy, but it remains a 4-1 lead for Marin as we go to the top of the fifth. It'll be Hazel, Gossingfield, and DeFazio up for the Vikings here in Kentfield. Welcome back to this broadcast of College Marin Baseball. I'm Nick Winstead. Is Cody. First pitch strike fired in by. They've been doing a great job. Easy take for Hazel, evens the count at 1-1. Shot gets the sign, will begin the motion. And going around for strike three is Cody. Swinging strikeouts in the bottom third. Up. It'll be Bradley Gossingfield coming to the plate. And he sees breaking ball drop in for strike one. He was able to shoot one past Sam Schmidt at second base and then advance to second base on a throwing error on a pitch out as will be fouled off of Gossingfield. Strike two. And two. And back-to-back strike fired in by Cassad. His third of the day. And he'll try and go for the hat. He begins the motion and fires this one, and it'll be shot to third base. Juve 4-1. It'll be Chu. Missing outside. And this way from down and behind the plate, fastball down and on the dirt. Tarantino in the on-deck circle for Marin as Chu waits the 2-0 pitch, and that one shot foul down the third baseline. Just a little bit early on that one. And thus far, Marin seen Kennedy much better their second time up. And it was Chu who started the 4-run rally with a rope past Goxingfiao, and this one will be shot sky high on the infield and work its way for Marcus. A 2 rally in the bottom third. Able to thus far. And again fouled to the backstop. 2-2 the count now. Chu started off that 4-run rally. Strikeout number 8 on the day for Kennedy. He's having a fantastic day out on the mound. He came into this game with only strikeouts on the season. Triple that here. His performance, but there is a Viking getting warmed up in the bullpen. We'll see if he goes much deeper into this game as Matt Tarantino comes to the plate. He's 1 for 2 today with a run scored, and he shoots one over to Goxingfiao, and Goxingfiao will send it over to first base for out number 2. Ryan Schultz comes back to the plate. He's 0 for 2 today after an error was able to extend that third inning where the Mariners were able to drive in 4 runs. He shot it sky high into shallow right field. Messenheimer tried to make the play, popped out of his glove. Schultz was able to score off the Jacob Davidson, excuse me, 2-run double, as Schultz will see first pitch ball. Schultz, the co-NorCal Player of the Week, looking for his first hit on the day. And breaking ball misses up high. 2-0 the count on the big first baseman for the Mariners. Taps the plate now. Waits for Kennedy to get into his motion. Brings it down to the belt, kicks and fires. This one is shot high and out of play, heading right towards the bleachers, and with a resounding thud, returns. 2-1 the count for Ryan Schultz with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. And one hopped over to Gossingfield. Is able to play a long throw, but he's able to make it. Back-to-back 5-3 putouts will end the 5th inning. Marin still on top, 4-1. Coming up to the plate for the Vikings, it'll be the top of the order: Ryan Tom, Anthony Talaferio, and Ryan Messenheimer. When we return, you're watching College of Marin Athletics. It's a 4-1 lead for the Mariners here at home as we move to the top of the 6th. First pitch fastball misses on the outside half of the plate. Ball 1. For Mr. Ryan Tom, who scored the only run of the game for the Vikings. Came back in the first. This one shot into through the hole, and that will be a 2-bagger. He's going to turn for 3, but be held up after that one. Gets away. After the leadoff double for Tom, it'll be Anthony Talaferio, who's 0 for 2 on the day. Coming to the plate for the Vikings as they try and work strike 1. Quesada's done an excellent job today of getting out in front of these Viking hitters. A little bit more urgency now with the man at second base and no outs. The bench for the Vikings getting a little bit vocal, trying to support the beginnings of a rally, perhaps. And this one is shot foul down the first base line. The Vikings a perfect year. They were able to defeat the Marin on the 9th. Just a few days ago on the road for the Mariners at Diablo Valley College in the 10th inning on a bases loaded sacrifice fly, and pitch way up high, and he went around on the appeal. Strikeout number 4 on the day for Cooper Casad. And still a little bit of jawing between Talaferio and the umpire in the field, as Talaferio obviously disagrees with that call. Very close, but a lucky break perhaps for the Mariners as Ryan Messenheimer steps into the right-handed batter's box. He's 1 for 2 on the day. He has the lone RBI thus far for the Vikings, and a huge swing and a miss. Momentarily gets away from Davidson, but keeps it in front of him, and Tom stays at first base. Strike 1. Messenheimer collects himself and now will dig back in his right foot about halfway between the front and the back end of the right-handed batter's box. Just square in the middle for the right fielder. And he shoots this one into foul territory. Schultz and Davidson working for it. Davidson finding his way around and will watch it drop right in front of him. Trying to be careful of that chain link fence that front of the Vikings dugout, but it will fall for a strike instead as Messenheimer lives to see another pitch. One and one the count, 1 out. Man on second base for the Vikings. They're down 4-1 here in the top of the 6th on the road in Kentfield, California. Beautiful sunny day, about 70 degrees. No breeze. Perfect weather for baseball. Casad peeks over at second base. Tarantino and Schmidt retreat. And runners on the move, and that will hit Messenheimer. Getting a little bit too locked in on Tom at second base, and now runners on first and second with the cleanup man, Atticus Sohn, at the plate. He's 0 for 1 today after he grounded into an inning-ending double play in the top of the first and then walked in the top of the 4th, but he comes to the plate with 2 men on and 1 out with his Vikings trailing 4-1. Double taps the plate with his neon green bat and white batting gloves. His left foot at the top of the right-handed batter's box. A check over by Casad at second base, and this one low and in the dirt. Davidson throws off the mask and collects it. He keeps it in front of him. Ball 1. So the 6'6", 230-pound freshman from Moraga, California. At the plate, runner goes, and the throw will not be in time. Saved nicely by Chu as it's short hopped in by Davidson. Keeps it from going into left field. Runners on the corners, 1 out. And a 2-0 count for cleanup man Atticus Sohn. And some movement in the Mariners bullpen, it would seem. And throw over to first base after the fake to third. And standing up is Messenheimer. Second stolen base of the game for Tom after he advanced over to third base. So again, the Vikings using the speed on the base paths. They've got runners on the corners. And shot to Tarantino. And a beautiful play moving away from second base. He's able to glove that one on the line out. 2 outs now. Runners on the corners after Sohn. Makes a tough play for Tarantino, but he's able to glove it. Drew Downing at the plate. He's 0 for 2 today. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. Top of the 6th. Marin on top, 4-1. Downing, the catcher, will watch that one fly in for strike 1. Cassad up 0-1. The Vikings trying to use the most of the leadoff double by Tom. He stands at third base. And driven into left field. Kennedy on the move. Kennedy dives. He can't make the play. Heyman getting it in. 1 run will score. And a long throw from second base will not be in time. 2 runs come in on the single from Drew Downing. A long single for Downing. Kennedy diving, unable to make the play and left Heyman there quickly. But 2 runs come across for the Vikings. It's a 4-3 ball game here in the top of the 6th. And now coming in is number 12, taking over for Cody Hazel, John Afton, a new catcher by position, but I'm sure he'll take over at a different spot after Dowling is thrown over and safely gets back in. Anthon at the plate, waiting for his first pitch from Cassad. A huge swing and a miss, trying to take the lead back in one fell swoop. And a throwback, not in time. Again, over to first base, diving in safely is Downing. And another pitch low, blocked by Davidson behind the plate. And strike 2. Fired in on Anthon. One-two count for Anthon. 2 outs. and popped foul and out of play behind home plate. It's a 4-3 lead for the Mariners. Here at home. Deep breath by Cassad, fires in the pitch and will not get the call. Looking to get out of the jam was the entire Mariners squad heading over towards the bench, but it will be 2-2 coming up with 2 outs. Drew Downing at first base after he drove in 2 on a very long single all the way to the fence, but he elects to stay at first base. And another save behind the plate. Downing will jog back over to first, and it's a full count for John Anthon. The 6'3", 225-pound freshman from Dublin. Cassad looks over at first base. Wheeling the bat is Anthon. Now another throw over to first, and again not in time. Trying to keep the catcher, Drew Downing, honest on the base paths. He has not stolen a base thus far on the year and has not been caught stealing either, but nonetheless. And a big swing and a miss will end the top of the 6th, but the Vikings are able to plate 2 runs. It's a 4-3 lead for the Mariners as we head to the bottom of the 6th. It'll be Davidson, Schmidt, and Potts coming up for Marin. Leading off the bottom of the 6th is the catcher, Jacob Davidson. He is 1 for 2 on the day with a 2 RBI double. And first pitch swinging, pops it up into shallow left field, working underneath it and collecting it for the first out is Talaferio. The new catcher for the Vikings, it's number 24, Matthew Tom, a 5'9", 210-pound sophomore from Castro Valley. Sam Schmidt sees fastball low, as it is still Austin Kennedy out on the mound, but still working is someone up in the bullpen for the Vikings. Schmidt 1 for 2 on the day. He tried to turn a single into a double, and he would end up being thrown out at second base to end that 4-run bottom third for the Mariners. It's a 4-3 lead for Marin here, as Kennedy will kick and fire the pitch, and it will end up hitting Schmidt. That is the second hit batsman of the game. Marcus Chu catching one earlier in the afternoon, and now Sam Schmidt offered up a free pass as well. It'll bring James Potts to the plate for the third time today. He is 1 for 2 on the day. He had an infield single. It glanced off the glove of Gossingfiau over at third base, and he would steal second, but he stranded there. And it looks like the day will be over for Austin Kennedy as Steve Ward heads out to the mound. And he will take over the baseball. We'll see who comes in next. For the Vikings, Marin on top, 4-3. The man on first, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. It'll be Doug Nimura on the mound for the Vikings. It'll be James Potts at the plate. Man on first, 1 out in the bottom of the 6th for Marin. They are on top, 4-3. Nimura, the 5'6", 150-pound lefty from Lafayette, California. First pitch will just barely tag the outside edge on this lefty-lefty matchup. Nimura in his second appearance on the year, a 9 ERA after giving up 1 earned run. One unearned run. And this one will get away from Tom behind the plate, and easily jogging over to second base is Schmidt. Look over at second base from Nimura. Now will fire, and again missing outside on Potts. 2-1. Here comes the 2-1 pitch, and breaking ball will miss low and in the dirt. 3-1 the count now. Nimura brings it up in front of his face, now sets near his chest and will fire, and that is 4 straight balls issued after the first pitch strike. 4th free pass issued by Vikings pitchers today. 2 men on, 1 out for Easton Dieters, looking for, a change for the Mariners. It'll be Chris Norman, the 6'4" sophomore, taking over designated hitter's duties with 2 men on base in a 1-run game. Gold and black cleats for Norman. And fastball, strike 1 for Nimura on the big righty Norman. 2 on, 1 out, 1-run lead for Marin. 4-3 here in the bottom of the 6th in beautiful Kentfield, California. And fastball inside will be a called strike. A late call, but a strike nonetheless. 0-2 the count now against Norman. A long look over at third base coach and head coach Connor Bird. From Norman, he'll dig back in. An open stance. Look at second, firing the 0-2 pitch, and this one will be in the dirt. A good take for Norman. And time called by Norman. Nimura taking a little bit too much time in between pitches for Norman's liking. He'll dig back in now. His left foot on the front end of that chalk on the right-handed batter's box. Nimura brings the ball down into his glove at his chest. Look at second, fire the pitch. And this one will nearly tag Norman. And 2-2. Norman is able to get the count to after falling down 0-2. Norman again will look over at third base for instruction from Bird. Mariners would love to take advantage here to get a little bit of a cushion back after they saw 2 runs come across in the top half of the 6th. It's a 4-3 lead for Marin at home. Nimura fires the 2-2 and a big chopper over to the right side. Norman trying to beat out, and it'll go to second base instead, and it will be a fielder's choice gone awry. Potts able to beat it out, and now the bases are loaded for Paul Kennedy.
Number 16, left fielder, Paul Kennedy.
Kennedy 0 for 2 on the day. With the bases loaded now, infield is in. And a big breaking ball bounces way in front of the plate. A good block by Tom, but ball 1 for Paul Kennedy. Nimura fires the 1-0. And Kennedy shoots it sky high on the infield. And collects the pop out for out number 2. And it'll be up to Chris Heyman to extend the inning. as he picks up the bat used by Kennedy and will step into the right-handed batter's box. A little bit of a breeze now, moving from right to left here in Kent Field. Still a beautiful day for the Mariners and the Vikings to square off. Bases loaded for Heyman. Heyman looking for his first hit of the day. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Breaking ball drops in for strike one on Heyman. Jumping out is Doug Nimura, the lefty reliever. Checks over at first base. And fires one wing. Sam Schmidt in from third. Bases are loaded for the Mariners. It's a one-run lead for Marin here at home, 4-3 over the Vikings. And now time is called as Nimura is trying to ice out perhaps Heyman. Taking a lot of time in between pitches. Nimura peeks over at second base. Now will fire and comes way inside, and that'll tag Heyman, and a hit by pitch will bring in Sam Schmidt from third base. Heyman tried to get out of the way of that one, but is still tagged his jersey. And appearance. Riley sends in Potts on the pass ball. And he follows it up with strike two. Can still get out of the jam with relatively little damage done. It's a 6-3 lead for Marin. Here comes the 1-2. And that'll be just a bit low on Chu. Two. More. Ball behind. And a walk drawn by Marcus Chu after falling behind. 0-2. And The Mariners, despite having no hits, have loaded the bases yet again. It's Chris Norman at third base, Chris Heyman at second, and Marcus Chu at first. Matt Tarantino, the shortstop, at the plate. This one will jump away from the side edge. A full count with the bases loaded. Tarantino, in all likelihood, Moore sets and fires the full, and chopped over to third base. Gossing first and leaning and getting the out. Big frame, but it's an out nonetheless. 2 runs come across for Marin. It's a 6-3 lead as we head to the top of the 7th here in Kentfield. It'll be Hazel, Gossingfiao, and DeFazio coming up for the Vikings. They try 3. Around on that one. Couldn't find it, perhaps. Props for a leadoff single. And showing Bunton pulling out of the way is Gossingfiao, trying to get some speed on the base paths and turn it into opportunities. They did the first part by getting Maloney on. Gossingfiao will show bunt again. Boyer fires in strike 1. 1-1 the count. And strike 2 fired in by Boyer. Boyer making his 5th appearance on the year with a 1-1 record and 8 1/3 innings pitched. Has given up 8 earned runs for an 8.0 ERA. And this one will get away from Davidson to second base easily. Ismail. Nobody out. Runner on second base. Gosfino. To tag the bag and watches. First out of the ball fired in by here on DeFazio. It's a 6-3 lead for Marin. And a sidearm strike on DeFazio. Strikeout situation here for the Mariners, trying to keep Maloney at third base. And this one's popped foul. Schultz sprinting after it into foul territory. Schultz unable to get there. Sprinting all the way over to that fence, but can't quite track it down. A long strike, number 2 for DeFazio. One out. Man on third base for the Vikings. They trail Marin 6-3 here in the top of the 7th. And swung on in the dirt. That one will get away. And throwing over to first base to complete the strikeout is Davidson. Ryan Tom, the leadoff hitter for the Vikings, comes to the plate, trying to drive in Maloney, who started off this half inning with a long drive into right field. James Potts couldn't field it. Now Boyer trying to get out of the jam. And first pitch strike going around is Tom on the fastball from the side armor, Boyer. And strike 2 fired in on leadoff man Tom. Up 0-2, can get out of the jam here. Back-to-back strikeouts for Boyer. Maloney's at third base. It's a 6-3 lead for Marin. Long look in at Davidson from Boyer. Gets the pitch he wants. Jumping around at third is Tom. Will kick and fire the 0-2 pitch, and just missing on the outside edge is Boyer. 1-2 the count now for Ryan Tom, who is 2 for 3 in this game with 2 runs scored and 2 stolen bases. Boyer, kick and fire. And this one will be strike 3 looking. Down goes Tom. Took a little bit of time at the plate there to show his displeasure with the call, but it's a strikeout nonetheless. 2 strikeouts for Boyer as he comes in, and it will be the bottom of the 7th. Coming up for the Mariners, batting to start it off will be Schultz, followed up by Davidson and Schmidt. You're watching College of Marin Baseball. Ryan Schultz stepping into the batter's box. He'll be facing up against new pitcher number 35, Kyle Smith, the 215-pound righty. And he first pitch swinging sends it sky high into shallow right field, and dancing underneath it and collecting it for out number 1 is Hazel. Jacob Davidson comes to the plate for the 4th time today. He is 1 for 3, but that one hit was a bases clearing double back in the 3rd. He drove in 2 runs. He'll be going up against Moore. And again, first pitch swinging, shot into right field. Working underneath there is Messenheimer, and Messenheimer collects it for out number 2. 2 pitches, 2 outs for Moore. Excuse me, Smith. Kyle Smith. Now Sam Schmidt comes to the plate. His last time up, he was hit by a pitch, and he would come around to score as part of those 2 runs Marin scored in the bottom half of the 6th. Now he gets a word from Coach Bird. Will readjust his shin guard on that left foot, and now we'll walk into the batter's box. See if Coach Bird doesn't tell Sam to slow it down a little bit after 2 pitches, 2 outs. And a fastball right down the middle. Strike 1. Give an opportunity for the batters behind him to see a little bit more of what Smith has. And this one will bounce away. 1-1 the count on Schmidt. And driven up to second base, getting through the legs of Hazel and squirting into the outfield is Sham Schmidt's now 2nd hit of the game, coming at the expense of his fellow second baseman, Cody Hazel. James Potts looking to extend the inning. 2 outs. Schmidt on first. He is 1 for 2 today. He was walked in his last time up, and breaking ball misses in the right-handed batter's box. For Pato, Richard Pato out on the mound. Number 25, not 35, excuse me. And a huge swing and a miss from Potts. That one was down low on the right-hand side of the plate. And a throw over to first base, not in time for the slide it in safely Schmidt. Schmidt dancing around at first. Pitch will jump in front of the plate. Schmidt goes to second base and will slide in safely. He got a great jump on that one on the breaking ball that missed by quite a lot. And he will be in easily at second base. No throw from Tom. 2-1 the count on Potts. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. 3-run lead for Marin. Potts swing and a miss on the breaking ball. Strike 2. 2-2 count, 2 outs, and Sam Schmidt at second base for the Mariners. And swing and a miss, strike 3. Down goes Potts, and Sam Schmidt stranded at second base. It remains a 6-3 lead for the Mariners as we head to the 8th inning. It'll be Anthony Talaferio, Ryan Messenheimer, and Atticus Sohn when we return. Boyer remains on the mound for the Mariners. Anthony Talaferio digs in, waiting for the pitch from Boyer to start off the 8th inning, and it's a fastball, strike 1. Talaferio 0 for 3 today with a strikeout, a pop out, and a ground out. And this one nubbed towards the first base side, and Schultz will have to play it, and a miscommunication there between Boyer and Schultz as Schultz caught in no man's land, is trying to get it, and it will be a leadoff single for Talaferio. Misplay there by the Mariners, providing a base runner for the Vikings. Messenheimer, big chopper to shortstop. Short hopped by Tarantino and thrown over by Tarantino for out number 1, but advancing Talaferio over to second base. A productive out for Messenheimer. First pitch on Sohn. One ball, no strikes, 1 out. Runner on second base. Marin on top, 6-3 here at home, looking for their first win at home on the year. On a beautiful day in Kentfield. And firing in a strike right at the knees on Big Sohn. Number 36 stands at 6'6". Got a big strike zone, and Boyer tends to use all of it in this at bat. The lime green bat for Sohn, kicking and firing right back to the mound. Glove beautifully, looking over at second base, toss over to first for the out. Flashing the leather there is Boyer, and heads up play by Boyer to look back. Talaferio at second base. Now 2 outs for Drew Downing coming to the plate. His last time up, he hit A deep drive to center field, left center field. Kennedy unable to dive and make the play. It ended up being a 2 RBI single for Dowling. He comes up to the plate with 2 outs and a man on second base, down by 3. First pitch misses outside from Boyer. Ball 1. And a strike at the knees. Evens the count at 1 on Dowling. The Vikings coming into this game 5-0 to start out their season, in jeopardy of perhaps losing their first game, but they have gone the extra mile before defeating the Mariners in extra innings, so in this one not quite over yet. That one's fouled back to the backstop. Just missing that one was Dowling, but it just a strike now. 1-2 the count. 2 outs for Boyer with Talaferio at second base after he led off the inning with an infield single. A miscommunication between Schultz and Boyer. Shot into center field. Heyman driving in and cannot make the catch, and cruising in from second base is Talaferio. Drew Dowling with the bloop single drives in another run. He's got 3 RBIs today. It is a 6-4 lead as Big John Anthon steps to the plate. Right back to the mound. Boyer gloves it and will throw over to Schultz for out number 3. But a run comes across for the Vikings. It is now a 6-4 lead for Marin as we head to the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Norman, Kennedy, and Heyman coming up for the Mariners in the bottom of the 8th. You're watching College of Marin Athletics.
Norman.
Chris Norman steps into the plate for the second time today. He was able to advance on a fielder's choice where no one got out. So a good break last time up. And this one shot over the head of Sohn into right field, along the right field line. He's digging for two, big turn, and he'll slow it down as Messenheimer quickly gets to the ball. A leadoff single for Norman brings up
At the plate for the first time,
a new batter for the Mariners, number 17. Eric Smith, the lefty from Drake. The 5'10", 175-pound left-handed pitcher getting an appearance at the plate. He'll show bunt, pull back, and that one gets away from Tom. Cruising to second base is Norman on the pass ball. We'll see what the call is now with the runner already advanced to second base from Coach Bird over in the third base coach batting box. Coach's box, excuse me. And again, he'll show bunt. This time, doesn't get away from Tom. Strike one. Long look over at second base, again showing bunt, and this one out in the left-handed batter's box from number 15, Andrew Merkin, the sophomore from Lafayette, taking over for Stephen Hontos. Again showing bunt and missing on the attempt is Smith. Strike two. And Smith will drive it to second base and get a glove on it as Hazel throw will be in time. But advancing the runner to third base, doing his job, is Eric Smith. A good piece of hitting by Smith there after he was unable to lay down the bunt. He still got his job done. And it'll go to the top of the order for the Mariners. Heyman coming to the plate, the center fielder. He's 0 for 2 on the day, but has walked and been hit by a pitch, and that hit by a pitch was with the bases loaded, so he gets an RBI for that, despite having gone 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Runner at third base, Chris Norman, and breaking ball will miss inside from Merkin. Open stance from Heyman, and big swing coming up empty on the breaking ball. One and one the count for leadoff man Heyman with one out here in the bottom of the eighth. Marin on top, 6-4. Line back to the backstop by Heyman. Strike two. Marin was able to match the 2 runs put up by Diablo Valley in the 6th inning. We'll see if they can match the 1 run that came across for DVC in the top of the 8th. And this one is popped back. Running after it is Tom, and Tom will go to one knee and make the catch in foul territory. Heyman is retired for the 3rd time today. Coming to the plate, Marcus Chu. Chu is 1 for 2 on the day. He was hit by a pitch in the bottom of the first. Then he lined one through the left side in the third, struck out in the fifth, and was walked in the sixth. He's going to try and drive Chris Norman home, and the first pitch swinging popped into shallow right field. Messenheimer flying in foul territory, and diving after it will be Sohn, and he's unable to make the play. A very long strike there for Marcus Chu. A little bit of a breeze picking up here in Kentfield, blowing from the first baseline out to center field now. Marcus Chu digs in as Merkin toes the rubber for the Vikings. And that one will be foul. Played fair though. It might have gone foul for Gossingfield if he had just let it go, but he plays it in fair territory, kicks off of his glove, and Chris Norman comes in to score on the infield single from Marcus Chu. Matt Tarantino comes to the plate for the now 5th time today. He's 1 for 4 with a run scored. Marin back on top by 3. And first pitch breaking ball drops in for a strike on Tarantino from Merkin. Seven to 4 lead for Marin as Merkin checks over at first base and will fire the pitch. Tarantino slams that one into left field. Back at the fence and collecting it for out number 3 is DeFazio. Good swing on that one, but a little bit of warning track power displayed by Tarantino for out number 3. Marin takes back the 1 run. It's a 3-run advantage yet again, 7 to 4. Marin on top as we head to the top of the 9th. Last at bat coming up perhaps for the Vikings. It'll be the bottom third of the lineup. Maloney, Gossingfield, and DeFazio. And out on the mound for the Mariners, number 12, Ryan Schultz, when we come back. Ryan Schultz coming in for the 3rd time this year in the closer role for the Mariners. He's pitched an inning and a third, giving up 1 walk, and has a spotless ERA. It'll be number 4, Maloney, going up against him, the 5'11" freshman from Dublin. Trying to get something going for the Vikings. They're down 3 here in the top of the 9th, 7 to 4. They could lose their first game of the season here on the road against Marin, a team that they previously beat in the week. And first pitch fastball comes in on Maloney for ball number 1. 1-0 count for Schultz as he begins his motion. And fastball down the middle. Strike 1 evens the count at 1 against Zachary Maloney. Maloney came in and reached on a tough play for Potts out in right field. And strike 2 right down the pipe. 1-2 the count now for Ryan Schultz. And the 1-2 pitch put over into foul territory, and running after it and losing his cap in the process is Brad Bussey, who takes over at first base for Schultz. Here comes the 1-2 pitch, and that one will be low. Ball 2. 2-2 the count on Maloney as the Vikings down 3 need to get some base runners on here. Schultz, a long stare in, begins his motion, will kick and fire, and this one is shot down the right field line. Potts driving after it in foul territory and will fall harmlessly in foul territory. Two the count. Leading off the top of the 9th, Zachary Maloney. And the pitch, and that'll get past Tarantino up the middle. Heyman collects it in center field, but it's a leadoff single for Maloney. Bradley Gossingfiao comes to the plate. He's 1 for 3 today as a leadoff single. Schultz will fire the first pitch to Gossingfiao, and he misses low on the third baseman. One and 0, nobody out, man on first base for the Vikings. They trail by 3 in the top of the 9th to the Mariners. And strike called on Gossingfiao. 1-1 the count. That one bounces in. Ball 2. 2-1. No outs here in the top of the 9th with Zachary Maloney on first base. Marin leads by 3. They've been able to maintain their 3-run lead they acquired in the bottom of the 3rd after a 4-run came across after an error. Strike called on Gossingfiao. 2-2 the count now on the third baseman. Schultz gets the sign from Davidson, brings it down to his belt, peeks at first, and will fire. This one in the dirt, a full count coming up for Gossingfiao. Schultz takes a walk around the mound. Now will step back on the rubbers. Gossingfiao digs back into the right-handed batter's box. Schultz arm dangling. Now he brings it in to the glove. Here comes the full count pitch. And that will go over to second base. Past a sprinting Schmidt, and back-to-back singles for the Vikings. 2 men on. Nobody out for the 9-hole hitter, Daniel DeFazio, and he will be replaced by number 23, Zachary Gardino. Gardino, 2 men on, no outs, down by 3. First pitch strike for Schultz. Gardino hitting 133 on the year. This will be his 16th plate appearance. Has 2 hits. Checking over at second base, now firing, and this one will be shot into center field. Heyman will dig underneath it on the run and get it in quickly for a non-productive out from pinch hitter Gardino. Back to the top of the order for the Vikings. Ryan Tom comes to the plate with 1 out, 2 men on. Diablo Valley down by 3 on the road, in jeopardy of losing their first game of the season. Schultz brings it down to his belt, will check over at second base, and will fire. And this one gets away from Davidson just for a second. He keeps it in front of him, though, and the runners stay put. Maloney at second base and Gossingfiel at first. The Vikings bench making some noise, chirping at Schultz. 1 out, 2 men on as Schultz fires the pitch, and this one will be fouled out of play. Down. One and 1 the count on Ryan Tom, the center fielder today for the Vikings. He scored 2 of the 4 DVC runs. Checks over on Maloney, fires, and this one way up high, but going after it regardless is Tom. Strike 2. Up at the eyes. Just looked too good to pass up for Ryan Tom. Now he's down 1-2. After putting that pitch up high, we'll see if Schultz goes down low, changing the sight lines. Schultz looks over at Maloney at second. And they get him looking. Strike 3. Down goes Ryan Tom. Back-to-back looking strikeouts for Tom. And the Vikings are down to their last out. Anthony Talaferio comes to the plate. He's 1 for 3 on the day. He led off the 8th with an infield single. A miscommunication between Schultz and Boyer, really, as it was caught in no man's land over on first base side. He would come around to score after Downing batted him in. Schultz checks over at Maloney at second. Talaferio watches that one in for ball number 1. Here comes the 1-0. Fastball up high, 2-0 the count. Up at the letters from Schultz. Marin on top by 3, 7-4 here at home, looking for their first win at home and to break the Vikings' perfect start to their season. And a fastball fired in for strike 1 by Schultz. 2-1 the count now, 2 outs. And driven into center field, and that will drop in front of Heyman. And Maloney will be sent after Heyman misplays it, and a run coming in on the single from Talaferio. A 2-run lead now for the Mariners as Schultz will now face up against Ryan Messenheimer. Gostenfjell stayed at second base, so runners on first and second. Ryan Messenheimer at the plate. He's 1 for 3 today. And he pops this one high and out of play. Strike one. And the Vikings bench continues to chirp, trying to fuel a rally here in the top of the ninth. Down by 2 now to Marin. Schultz fires, and this one will be in the dirt, but blocked by Davidson. 1-1 the count for Ryan Messenheimer. Messenheimer sporting a black quarter sleeve on his right arm. And strike 2 fired in by Schultz. 1-2 the count now, and the Vikings are down to their last strike of the game. Their perfect season in jeopardy. Schultz eyes in at Davidson. Gets the sign, brings the belt, and fires. And strike 3 swinging. Down goes Messenheimer, and Marin picks up their first win at home. They come out on top, 7-5 over the visiting Diablo Valley College Vikings, who dropped their first game of the season. They fall to 5-1. Marin improves to 4-4 on the year. And Ryan Schultz will pick up the save. Cooper Cassad, the winning pitcher in this one. Austin Kennedy picks up the loss for the Vikings. Thanks so much for watching this broadcast of College of Marin Baseball. I'm Nick Winstead. Be sure to check out all of our broadcasts of baseball at home this upcoming season. Have a great rest of your day, and go Mariners.